Hey, this is Jay Rose from Total Dealer Training, and we're going to talk about bonuses today. Now, the first thing about bonuses is to recognize that it's different than their compensation or their hourly or salary. When we pay employees an hourly or salary, it's to do an average job, whatever that function is, whatever the department is. A bonus should only be paid out when it's above average than what you're currently expecting. And it's important to recognize human behavior and how people respond to stimuli. And especially when it comes to money, people will pretty much do what it takes to hit a bonus. It's important for management to make sure that they're not doing anything illegal or unethical. So, number one, before you set up a bonus, get the people who are going to be involved with it, especially the employee, get their opinion, get them involved. Make sure that the bonus is actually the metric is tied to what they do. If you have somebody who's, say, a mechanic, they should not be paid on how many cars you deliver or delinquency in your collections department. It should be based off of something they can control. So they have belief in it, they feel that they can actually affect it, and that way it'll perform better and it'll have a better motivator. Next thing you want to make sure is it's realistic and achievable. If the employee doesn't feel that this bonus is achievable, it's not going to have the effect that you want. They're just going to keep doing the same thing, figuring, they'll never hit it. Make sure that before you implement the bonus, you want to make sure that you project out what could happen if they hit this. I'm a big proponent of bonuses where you have a cap on it, meaning that instead of a hit or miss, I don't like hit or miss bonuses because if they just barely miss it, they get nothing and then they get really demotivated. I like to use 5 different levels. Take the bonus level in the middle is what you want for your goal. If they get a little bit more than that, then they get a little bit more money. If they get a little bit more than that, or anything above that in infinity, then they get a little bit more money. But never leave it open-ended unless it's directly related to a specific commission job. Like whether it's mechanics, if you're in a new car store, never in buy here, pay here, if you're on flag time or if you're doing deliveries. Because the problem is, if you have so much money per, as far as result, they could have a month that has nothing to do with them, like tax season. All of a sudden you deliver a lot of cars and they're just order taking, they make a ton of money. What happens the next month? Yeah, they go to sleep and they do nothing because they're already made so much money the month before. Or worse, they go out and buy a house or a car or something that buries them in 5 years or more of debt, all because they had one good month. I've seen it too many times in the last 35 years. So make sure you kind of cap and control how much they make, because otherwise you're going to be putting your employee, setting them up for failure in their personal life and also how they perform at work. Another thing that's important is when you have a bonus, pay it immediately. You should be able to calculate it and figure it every single day. Do not have a bonus where it takes you more than 1 minute. Somewhere between 10 seconds and 1 minute. If you can't print a report that gives you the number to figure out the bonus, it's too complicated. And also make sure you share that information always with your employees so they can see where they are every day. If you have a bonus and your employees think it's too complicated, they can't figure it out, or you don't even tell them how much they had until after the time, or say it's after the month, then it's going to be demotivated. Then they don't even know why. So it's important to make sure, don't overcomplicate it, keep it simple, maybe only 1, 2, maybe 3 metrics. Don't have 9 different metrics that you're bonusing them on. I mean, it sounds like you're just paying them to do everything they're supposed to do in the hourly and the salary. So keep it simple. Use 5 different levels for whatever it is. It's important to make sure that you never leave a specific bonus the same for more than 90 days. Because if you do, human behavior that I found is that people start to think, well, it's just part of my regular compensation. And they start budgeting on it, and then they get in trouble when you change it. Then they get all demotivated. So always keep it moving just a little bit, adjust it to conditions like tax season if you know things are going to be a little bit better, or there's more money available in collections, or if it's December and historically it's a little bit slower for that particular department. So make sure it's realistic and achievable. It'll continue to motivate your staff, and make sure that you can also, you don't have to have, if you have 2 metrics or 3, have it weighted average or evenly. You can weight it depending on how important that metric is. Like for instance, if you want to reduce repossessions, make sure that's pretty weighted heavily, and maybe you give them some bonus on 5-star ratings on Google to try to improve your payment center or your dealership's thing. That's important, but not as important as reducing repossessions and collecting money from the customers. Also, make sure it's offset. If you only have one bonus on one area, always try to think about how could an employee kind of work it or take advantage of it and affect other things in the department or the dealership. Like if you only pay on reducing repos, well, that's easy. The other side of that is they'll never repossess a car and let your delinquency is going to go through the roof. So always make sure that when there's a counterbalance, that you want a bonus on lowering repos, but you also want to make sure you lower your delinquency at the same time and weight it equally. So if you have any questions on this, definitely call me. There isn't any department that I haven't seen a good and bad bonuses and how it affects behavior. It's led to firings, or it's led to people quitting if it's not set up properly. And the final thing I want to make sure that we talk about on bonuses is make sure you not just pay them right away, but also make sure you recognize them. It's important to make sure that your employees know what it is, make sure it's realistic and achievable, make sure they feel like they can affect that number, and if it's for some reason we either miss too high or too low, make the adjustments. Do not leave bonuses in place for more than 90 days. Bonuses can be the most important driver of great performance, or it can kill a department. If you have any questions, give me a call. And if you like this video, click below or share it with somebody else, because this is a really important time of the year to make sure your bonuses are set up to make this year your best year ever.